Alright, so it is the second week of January 2024, which means we have a brand new Freak of the Week. And this week's Freak of the Week is Yandere Dev. Now, if any of you guys are super OG fans of the channel, you know that one of my biggest videos early on, back in 2020, when I had no fans, I had nothing, I was living out of a cardboard box and I contemplated selling my body to make ends meet. It was a rough time, but this video changed everything. This Yandere Dev video brought me from a nobody to a nobody who had a video with 325k views, which was cool, but hey, we were still in the trenches. Now, I made a video on this guy 4 or 3 years ago at this point for just being kind of an oddball, and yeah, there's some stuff coming out about this guy being very sus. Now, we're gonna get into all that today, but before we do, leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't yet already. I'm kind of spurging out a little bit. I'm a little... You don't even know what I'm gonna do. I could just grab you. Grab you. You subscribe? You subscribe? So Yandere Dev is the developer of a game called Yandere Simulator, which is a simulator game where you can play as a 15 or 16-year-old high school girl in like Japan, and you can walk around the school and get into all sorts of youthful mischief, and I think you can end up stabbing your classmates if they betray you in the social circle or something like that. But the game is not very popular anymore. It used to be popular, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, but I remember the game was scrutinized for Yandere Dev using stolen assets to make the game. Like, he would take, I think, either sprites or avatars or something like that, maybe even code that he didn't create or own the rights to in order to build his game, so that's plagiarism. And at the time when this was coming to light, there were people making videos discussing how this is not okay and more people should know about it, and these videos were actually copyright striked by Yandere Dev, which was an abuse of the copyright system. You can't just strike videos that are criticizing you. The copyright takedown system on YouTube practically just exists for like full-length episodes of TV shows and movies to be taken down by their respective owners. It's more about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the DMCA, than anything else, but people like creators just use it to fuck over other creators who talk shit about them. It's so petty. Now, I was never a fan of Yandere Dev. I never played Yandere Simulator, but after all this had went down and I had learned about his reputation, I was left with a sour taste in my mouth, and it had ended up that a lot of people who were backing this guy financially, I think on Patreon or wherever he was receiving donations to complete this game, stopped backing him. They pulled out financially, and it wasn't just because he was using stolen assets or copyright striking other YouTubers. It had to do with the fact that he wasn't delivering on the promises that he made with the game's completion. I believe to this day the Yandere Simulator game is still not finished, which you have to imagine if you're someone who's backing this game financially, you're funding the guy who's making the game and he's not like making the game, then yeah, after a while you're gonna get suspicious and probably take your business elsewhere. Now, aside from this stuff, there's also been some rumors floating around of inappropriate conversations that this guy's had with minors. Now, Yandere Dev is 30 years old at this point. Let's Google that to fact check. And 35 years old. Wow. And Yandere Dev has responded to these allegations of him having inappropriate conversations with minors on his YouTube channel, so we're gonna take a look at this response and this apology. I did pre-watch it, and he does apologize for some stuff, which is, you know, good that he's saying sorry, but the things he's saying sorry for are not good at all, so we'll get into all that. It looks like if you go to his channel now, he's deleted the apology or privated it, so good luck finding it now, but I did get a re-upload of it, so if you want to see the original video, just type in Yandere Dev apology re-upload. And I think regardless of how you feel about an apology or a response, usually when deleting something or privating something without like any clarification or context can look not great. Now, I'm not going to assign guilt to him just based on that fact, but I think that without any sort of like, you know, saying why you moved something or privated something can be not optical to some people.
Hello, I'm Yandere Dev, the developer of Yandere Simulator. Last year, an extremely serious allegation was made about me that I would like to address.
Yo, why does this fool talk like an AI? Hello, it is I, Yandere Dev. Dude sounds like an Amazon smart home device. Okay, Yandere Dev, turn off my lights. Hey, Yandere Dev, set a timer for 2 minutes.
The accusation is that I attempted to groom an underage fan of my game. I will take accountability and admit that I did discuss inappropriate topics with a fan.
Alright man, right off the bat, I can make this assertion. Groomer or not, you need to be careful when you're talking to minors when you just so happen to be 35 years of age. The earth has rotated 35 times since you were born, and that makes you more liable to having strange conversations with minors. You need to be careful, alright? Like, you gotta make sure that whoever's DMing you is like, I was told I would be meeting with a very cautious man. I believe we have that in common. Only then, and only until then, you respond with, I don't think we're like at all, Mr. White. But in that case, you'd be like, I don't think we're like at all, 15-year-old girl who DM'd me, which is what you should say, and then, you know what I mean?
However, the accusation that I deliberately attempted to groom this fan is false. In this video, I would like to apologize for what I feel I should apologize for. But I would also like to give you the full story so that you know what is true and what isn't true. Let's start at the beginning.
Again, whether or not you believe this guy is a groomer, I think we can all agree he could be saying things a little bit better. Like he goes, the claim that I deliberately attempted to groom a minor is absolutely false. It's like the key word there, deliberately. It's like he could have accidentally just groomed this kid. Whoopsies. I'm so clumsy, bro. Like I just be grooming minors all the time. I just be slipping into it, man. It just happens. You wouldn't get it, okay?
Last year, a fan of my game contacted me and wanted to chat. Usually, when a fan tries to talk with me, I just tell them that I'm too busy. But this person seemed really nice and friendly and funny, so I decided, you know what, sure, let's talk. She let me know right off the bat that she was 16, but I didn't see any problem with that.
Ooh, I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10 on the sounds horrible out of context meter. That one's just really rough. Matter of fact, even in context, what are we exactly explaining here? Like, obviously I'm gonna give him a chance to explain himself and complete the sentence, but it's a pretty rough way to start the sentence, and as someone who's smart enough to be coding video games, you'd think he'd be able to construct a better sentence.
When I was 16, I had online friends that were in their 20s and 30s, so it just didn't feel weird to me. In the beginning, our conversations were normal, but she had a kind of adult sense of humor, and every now and then she would bring up a topic or ask a question that wasn't really appropriate.
Now, I kind of understand what he's saying here. I mean, when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, now I'm 20, I've always had friends that are much older than me on the internet because I'm a YouTuber, and a lot of YouTubers that I've talked to and come into contact with are many years older than me, and that's fine. But all the guys that I've met that are much older than me are, well, you know, they're guys, so I guess that kind of matters too. Like, there's no way I'm getting groomed as a 16-year-old when, like, some of the guys I'm talking to are married with, like, kids or kids on the way. But when you're yandere dev and you don't have a wife and kids and you're 35 and you're talking to 16-year-old girls, it's still strange, you know, 35-year-old man talking to a 16-year-old girl and trying to be friends is just weird. Get friends your own age, okay? I feel like it's not really that hard. I'm gonna say this line a lot throughout the video. Groomer or not, this guy is very clearly socially inept. It's clear he doesn't have that many IRL friends, let alone IRL women that he communicates with, let alone a girlfriend or a wife or anything that would be age appropriate. So this guy needs friends that he can talk to in real life. He needs to get out there and talk to some women or something. Like, this just can't be happening, okay? You can't just allow your only avenue of social connection to be through 16 or 15-year-old girls on social media. It's not gonna work. It's not sustainable. It is weird. It does make you look like a groomer. It could mean that you're actually a groomer and we just don't know yet, or so you gotta knock it off, like, right this instant.
When this would happen, I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, but I rationalized to myself that it was no big deal and just kept talking with her. Eventually, I must have said something that sounded like a red flag to her, because at some point she started to record our conversations just in case I turned out to be some kind of predator. She showed our conversations to a YouTuber, and the YouTuber decided, yep, this guy seems like a groomer. We need to expose him. From what I've been hearing, it kind of sounds like the YouTuber started coaching the girl on how to manipulate me into saying things that would make me look bad. Because I had gotten into the habit of being really candid around this girl and just casually responding to whatever she said, it was very easy for her to get recordings of me answering questions I shouldn't have answered and discussing topics I should not have discussed. And the YouTuber then used those recordings to make a 40-minute long video accusing me of being a groomer. Out of respect for all of the people in the world who have actually been groomed, we should use the word grooming correctly. Grooming is when an adult tries to establish a relationship with a child with the intention of exploiting or abusing the child. That doesn't describe what I did. I didn't develop a friendship with the girl for that reason. That wasn't my intention. I did not attempt to establish a romantic or sexual relationship with the girl. But after having my behavior explained to me as commonly associated with romance, I can understand how it was interpreted that way.
All right, so this is where you begin to lose me, and I feel like a lot of people as well. You're telling me when you're talking with a 16-year-old girl, as a man who is 35, you aren't like extra aware of how the things you might say would come across to some people as flirting or trying to establish a relationship? Like, if I was in your position, that would be one of the biggest things on my mind. Like, oh, I have to make sure that I'm not being too weird or too flirty or something like that. And only until after someone read back the messages that you sent to this girl and told you, hey, this could come across as flirting, did you realize that these could come across as flirting? No, I don't buy that. If you literally needed someone to analyze the messages that you were sending in order to find out if they were okay or not, then in my opinion, you should just not be allowed to talk to girls ever. And that's a crazy punishment, but if that's how it has to be, that's how it has to be. If you can't talk to girls without looking like an oddball, then you just can't talk to girls, bro. Don't hate the player, hate the game. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. You gotta walk it like you talk it, my man. Go on a dating app and find some girls your age. I heard they just dropped the $500 Tinder premium package. You should look into that. I know you got bread from this game. You can easily invest $500 into that subscription and find a gold digger who would touch you.
I feel like it's worth mentioning that a lot of the remarks I made only sound bad when they're out of context. For example, there was one time when the girl jokingly said, "You should make an OnlyFans." And I said, "No, that's dumb. No one would ever want to see that."
Facts. No one would want to see that.
"Come on, it's so easy to make money on OnlyFans." And when I heard that, I thought, whoa, that's a little concerning. Don't tell me that social media is brainwashing this generation to think that they should just go directly into porn the second they turn 18 because it's the best way to get rich quick. That's a little concerning. I wanted to know if she was joking or if she was being serious. So I asked her, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" And of course, the YouTuber used the recording of me saying, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" to frame me as someone who initiates horrifically inappropriate discussions with children.
Yeah, but again, this is the sort of thing where you shouldn't need a coach to assist you while you're having conversations. Let me just help you out. When this 16-year-old girl asked you if you were starting an OnlyFans, you go, "No, I am not starting an OnlyFans. That would be gross." And then she says, "Why? It's so easy to make money." You say, "Well, I wouldn't be making that much money, I think." And that's that. Because you admit it sounds bad hearing it back, that you asked a 16-year-old girl if she was going to start an OnlyFans. We can't hear your internal monologue. You know, that might actually be what you were thinking, that social media is brainwashing young girls to consider OnlyFans as a career path right when they turn 18 because there is a lot of money to be made there. But unfortunately, that's not what you said. You said, "Are you starting an OnlyFans?" Do you understand? Like, bro, stop.
Which is just completely dishonest. There's a part of me that wants to go point by point down the list of every single questionable or suspicious thing I said and provide context for absolutely everything, but that's not really the main issue here. For one thing, a lot of the stuff I said is just weird no matter what the context is.
On God, bro. You an oddball, and I've been saying that.
I never should have let conversations like that happen in the first place.
On God,
a normal,
bro.
mentally healthy adult would have just blocked the girl immediately after the very first time she said something inappropriate.
On God, bro.
And having to face that fact was a wake-up call that made me realize I had deteriorated mentally.
On God,
so,
bro.
After this whole controversy happened, I decided to take some time to just reflect and try to figure out how I had turned into the type of person who would let something like this happen. After talking it over with a lot of different people, I think I've developed an understanding of exactly how things got to this point, and I think I have the vocabulary to explain it now, too. Over the past 10 years, I neglected absolutely every aspect of my well-being in favor of working on my video game project. I almost never left my house for any reason. I had no social life whatsoever, and I had no one that I could call a true friend.
So he goes on to explain the reason that he's an oddball is because of all of the decisions that he's made, and most of this is self-inflicted. The fact that he never has left his house, the fact that he doesn't talk to people, the fact that he just stays inside like a hermit causes him to be awkward, and it's this vicious cycle. And so the reason that he would be interested in having a conversation with a 16-year-old girl is because he's just a weird person and can't talk to anyone else because of it. So if someone who's a fan of his game, even if it's a 16-year-old girl, is trying to talk to him, of course he's going to take that opportunity to actually talk with another human being, which may sound like a good excuse or a good alibi, but you have to understand that the reason this is something he's even doing in the first place is because of the isolation that he's done to himself. So this genuinely is all his fault, and there's really no way you can spin this to where he's, absolved of responsibility. Like, yeah, you're a grown adult, and I'm sorry, I know life is hard, but if you make the choice to sit inside all day and not talk to anyone, and you become an awkward, social, inept person as a result of it, that's just your own fault, man. And if that leads you to talking to 16-year-old girls, again, that's your own fault. You could say it's a domino effect, but yeah, you kind of started it, G.
A lot of people warned me that they could see my mental health deteriorating and that I was exhibiting a lot of self-destructive behavior, and I just ignored all of them. I was lonely and depressed and miserable and getting worse every year and doing nothing to make any of it better and ignoring all of the warning signs that were being given to me.
And this is your own fault. Like, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but when you are 30 years old, your mental health becomes your responsibility. If you can't take it upon yourself to get help when you need it, anything that may happen as a result of that, whether that's bad decision making, which in your case it is, or whatever else it might be, is unfortunately on you. You can be a big boy and talk to your family or loved ones or friends or go to therapy or something, but you chose not to. And yes, that responsibility falls back on you. Some people end up drinking all the time, doing drugs or whatever. You chose to just talk to anyone who would give you the time of day, even if it was a 16-year-old girl, and you asked her if she would do OnlyFans, and look how it's ending up for you, bro.
When you neglect your psychological and social needs that badly for that long, you eventually become so desperate for social interaction and positive affirmation that you become willing to have inappropriate interactions you shouldn't be having, as long as it's fulfilling the social needs that have gone completely unmet for years.
I mean, I'll give him credit, he definitely seems introspective looking back, but it doesn't really make it okay. He seems to be able to grasp what went wrong and why it went wrong, which is good, but it should never have happened in the first place, and him being aware of the thing that he did being stupid and bad doesn't make it okay. Now, I haven't definitively seen all the proof of this guy being a groomer, I haven't looked at all the messages, so I'm not going to sit here and call him one, but he should have never been engaging with this girl.
Acknowledging all of this was step one. Step two was determining what I would have to change about my life in order to repair the damage that I had done to my psyche over the past 10 years. I decided to just step back from game development for 3 months to just work on myself and try to develop a more healthy lifestyle. I started seeing a therapist. I started leaving my house and going outside and interacting with other human beings. I experimented with hobbies that don't involve the use of a computer screen. I found a much better work-life balance. And most importantly of all, I made friends. I developed a social life. I made meaningful connections with people my age. That made a bigger difference than anything else. I no longer feel so desperate for social interaction that I'd be willing to have inappropriate conversations just to fill some gap in my life. I feel like I've removed the weaknesses and vulnerabilities that enabled this entire situation to happen in the first place.
Yeah, but you should have had these affairs sorted out before you talked to the girl, brother, and that's just between me and you. And everyone watching this video, but hey, you should have known better. But yeah, man, that's what's been going on with Yandere Dev. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Follow my social medias, links are all down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Peace.